Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com. So I just want to remind everybody that what they said, that nobody's above the law. Nobody is above. Watch this.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one 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 is above the law.
Well, guess what? Even Joe Biden said nobody is above the law, and it got community noted because he just pardoned his son. So I think he's also trying to pass a law to change Hunter's name to nobody.
Well, doesn't the act of, like, the fact that president can pardon people, isn't that literally in the law that you can be above the law?
Well, there's, you know what? In our next segment, we're going to tell you the problem with these pardons, with this pardon of Hunter. There is a problem with it, but that's for our next segment. But right now, I want to focus on how everybody said one thing and did the other. By the way, Hunter isn't above the law. He's being swept under it like a rug, okay? But that's a typo, by the way. Hunter isn't above the law. He's so high that he's above the lawn. Here's Harry Sisson. Hey, Donald, nobody is above the law in the United States. That was in July of 2022. Then, yesterday, he says, hey, President Biden has officially pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. His full statement is below. I fully agree with this decision. So, apparently, there are people who are above the law.
Yeah. I thought, by the way, since when no one's above the law, almost everyone in government's above the fucking law.
So Harry Sisson, the boy wonder, as in you wonder who's hired him to lie, says nobody's above the law when it comes to Trump, but a whole different story when it comes to Hunter Biden. Whole different story. Here's John Harwood. Boy, his name should be John Hardon. He says people, listen to this. You see this, Kurt? He says people who insist Biden will pardon Hunter after specifically ruling it out, meaning Joe Biden had ruled out pardoning him. People, they are telling on themselves.
Right.
They can't imagine someone acting on principle and keeping his word. No, certainly not Joe Biden.
I hope Biden will pardon me.
Breaking, President Joe Biden just pardoned his son, Hunter. So who's telling on who? And by the way, this guy, this is how lazy and arrogant he is. He didn't even take this tweet down. He said he made that in June of this year.
Yeah.
I bet there's a lot of people thanking him for his tweet right now and his consistency on Twitter, I bet. Right?
He's on Blue Sky by now. He's laughing all the way to Blue Sky.
Harry Sisson says, riddle me this, MAGA. How has Biden weaponized the Justice Department if his own son is on trial and he's saying he will not pardon him if convicted? Your whole argument kind of crumbles, doesn't it? Embarrassing. Well, look, he got community noted on that.
Yeah, they all thought Trump was going to not win, so that's what this is.
I mean, if your father can't bend the Constitution of the United States to defend his own son, then I don't know a better act of treason than that.
Yeah, sorry if he's guilty of being a great dad.
I'm not going to sit here while you impugn the man who lost another son and would do anything to save this one. That's all I'm saying. They have footage of me sonning. Okay. So here is Joe Biden insisting he's not going to pardon his son. He's going to respect the jury.
Question regarding the family. I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. And I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Yeah, but now Hunter is more of a gatherer, so I'm going to pardon him. Here he is saying it again.
Ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
So imagine if Trump did that. That's what I can't help. Again, You don't have to be a fan of Trump. I haven't been a fan of Trump's, but I just can't stand the complete hypocrisy and the complete gaslighting, bullshitting of the illiberal class is what I call them. They're not liberals. They're illiberal. And they're just blatant lying, this complete double standards, this demonization of, they have to make Donald Trump worse than he is.
Well, Jimmy,
because if they told the truth about him, people would be like, oh yeah, he's that guy from the Apprentice that we like.
Jimmy, what you're saying is so true, and that's why Rob Reiner had to check into the funny farm.
That's right. I just love how the shit libs, they got their marching orders to say there's nothing wrong with this.
Well, Hunter didn't even do anything wrong. I mean, that's what's so weird. Why we would have to pardon him? Is he pardoning himself as well too?
And here's KJP. Was that what they call her? Cringe. Jean-Pierre. And watch how many times she says that they're not gonna. I mean, this is kind of amazing. So first we had everybody here saying that nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. But it turns out Hunter's new name is nobody.
We can insider trade legally.
Yes. And then here we have blatant Joe Biden saying, I'm going to respect the jury. Oh, I respect it.
Question.
He doesn't. He's asked point blank. Look at that face. He's asked point blank, are you going to pardon? Are you going to
ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Here's Karine Jean-Pierre.
Will the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Okay. Let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
You've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no. And I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
So
she's sick of hearing it.
So let's remember, again, these are the same people who want to get you kicked off social media for lying. So the biggest liars are always, I mean, she's the biggest liar, right? Is she not? Joe Biden and her are now today the biggest liars in the world. There's no bigger liar than them right now. And the biggest liar is always the government, second the corporate media, because they're owned by the same people who own the government, the same people who fund Joe Biden and own him, and Kamala Harris are the same people who own the media. So the two biggest liars, government and the corporate media, and then third, and a distant third, are randos on social media. So don't ever let them lie to you. You're only going to hear that lie in corporate media that we have to stop the misinformation on social media. No, they're the biggest generators of it.
You know, if somebody says we didn't land on the moon and they're misinformed, I don't give it. That doesn't affect anything. This affects everything, and It's all just acceptable.
And remember that to hold this job. So here's another one.
Will he pardon his son? No.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No. It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no. And I was very clear, and I said no.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis at ABC News headquarters here in New York. We're coming on the air this hour with breaking news. President Biden has just pardoned his son Hunter on gun and tax charges that he was facing.
Nice. Best guy I know.
And remember, for her to hold that job, she has to act permanently annoyed at every question.
Yeah.
She has to shake her angry hair. Just imagine what her mom did to her. That's all I'm saying. She's still unpacking from that trip. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, if she stays in this job much longer, she's going to look like Lori Lightfoot. All desiccated with her eyes bugging out, her hair all crazy.
And so I just want to let you know, so there they are, just Joe Biden repeatedly lying, blatantly lying. Imagine if Trump did that. They'd be like, oh, my guy's a liar. And if anybody thinks that I have people say that I can't vote for Trump because he's a big liar. Because that's what they're told. That's what they're told on CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, Washington Post, that Trump's a big liar. And all the other politicians are truth tellers. If you think that the establishment turned on Donald Trump after giving him his own television show for 10 years and Emmy nominations and inviting him to play golf with the Clintons and everybody else, if you think that they turned on him because he went to Washington, D.C. and started lying because he's a politician who went to Washington, D.C. and started lying, well, guess what? I've got a vaccine I'd like to sell you. So I want to remind you who Joe Biden actually is. This is Joe Biden. This is his jumping. This is when he first got into politics at 29 years old as a senator. Ready?
I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but you have to go.
I'm going to start that again. You shouldn't assume I'm not corrupt. And boy, a lot of people do.
I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but you have to go to those people who have money, and they always want something. You run the risk of deciding whether or not you're going to prostitute yourself to give the answer you know they want to hear in order to get funded to run for that office.
Yeah, but would you do that, though? Would you prostitute yourself for money so you could buy yourself a seat in the government? Would you?
If he wanted to, they wouldn't let him.
Here we go.
For that office. I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself, and
he was ready to prostitute it. He says it right out loud. But guess what happened?
The manner in which I talked about it. But what happened was they said, come back when you're 40, son.
So he didn't, on his first Senate race, he had to go out and raise money through small dollar donations because he wanted to prostitute himself. He wanted to do whatever the donors wanted him to, but they wouldn't give him the money because they thought he was too young. Well, guess what?
Wow,
he's certainly not too young now.
Boy, Jimmy, that's got to be the only time the donors don't want to pay money for a prostitute who's too young.
No. And now he's a prostitute. And I'm not saying he's playing bachelor parties. Hey, here comes the policeman, ladies. He's going to make an arrest, and he'd be a cardiac arrest. Anyway, so that's who Joe Biden. Just so you know, why does he lie like that? Why does Karine Jean-Pierre lie like that? Because they're paid liars. Joe Biden is a prostitute, and he's telling you that right there.
But she hates that job. You can see she hates the job.
She's just doing that job so she could get her own. She could replace Jen
Psaki.
Yeah, so she can replace who's
Inside Jane Psaki.
Who's the other one? The biggest liar. The Joy-Ann Reid. You know, she wants Joy because they can't replace Joy-Ann Reid. They have to replace her with a woman of color, and she's got it one up on Joy-Ann Reid because she's gay and an immigrant. She's got it too.
She's got it all.
Joy-Ann Reid is actually enjoying her job of lying visibly.
Yeah,
like,
visibly.
When you love what you do, it shows.
Yes.
Whereas King Jean-Pierre's like, I could be lying in better things. I shouldn't have to be talking to you.
I had to lie and say he's not demented. I have to lie and say he's not going to pardon his kid when we all know he's going to, and they're going to play these tapes. And I'm going to look like a prostitute.
That's the job.
That's the job.
Dancing with the Stars time.
Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and only jimmydore.com.